welcome to Hashtag Social. I'm Cole.
And I'm Liv.
And we're for some people we're back, and for probably a good majority we're new. So
welcome.
Welcome.
And also welcome back.
Yes. All the above.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
Feels good to be sitting in the chair, right?
It really does. It's been months.
Yeah.
We've got a new setup here.
It's nice. We have new mics, new cables, new recording stuff. We're actually recording this at my house now, which is super nice. It's awesome.
Yeah, it feels good.
I'm digging it.
I know. I was thinking about it. Like we've been at least doing this or revising the podcast for like a year and a half now.
You mean like is that really how long we've been working?
We started it in 19.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it was a year earlier before COVID. And then we did a few episodes, and then at that point is when we started to like think about revising and really kind of honing in on what we wanted the show to be like. So from that bloomed Hashtag Social.
Right. Because for the people who have listened to us, you're going, wait a second, this isn't Life and Lattes. And it's going to be my one mention of it. So not that we're taking it out back to shoot it, but we're going to build upon what we've learned from it.
Yeah.
And we kept talking, like, people would come up to us and go, what's your podcast about? And we're like, well, everything.
Yeah. We're like, it's kind of like a lifestyle podcast.
Which is a cop-out.
Drink coffee.
I mean, right? I mean,
it just
to a certain
wasn't,
degree.
I think we just had a more like broad view and ideas of what like we wanted it to be from the start, because we didn't really know.
Right.
And then the more that we kind of went along with it, it started to kind of narrow down of, okay, these are our interests. This is what we're more passionate about. This is what we're doing, on a daily basis in our own businesses and lives. And so I think it was just kind of like a no-brainer that that's what the podcast was going to be.
And we knew that it was a good idea from what we've learned, especially looking at the metrics from who's listened and kind of like watching other podcasts bloom. We thought, hey, let's get like a really nice, focus so that it's you kind of know what to expect.
Correct.
Every time we release an episode. Yep. So it's like, hey, if you're interested in this topic, you're going to come listen to us. Instead of, hey, this week might be this and it might pertain to you, it might not.
Right.
Now we've got kind of a more, we're just trying to have a more focused approach, which is cool. I'm good with that.
Yeah. We're just wanting to, I guess, better serve our community and group of people.
Yeah. And build it.
Exactly.
Yeah. We want to build it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, we're excited.
Super pumped. So I guess probably a good idea is to explain. So we've said the name. We've kind of explained why we're here. Mm-hmm. Maybe lead us off with what we're gonna do. Like, Hashtag Social.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think the majority of it will be focused on social media, more modern content.
Yeah,
would be kind of the overarching theme of it all, and more small businesses in the sense of how you can really market yourself online and how much that has grown, especially in the last year. I feel like
COVID's kicked that in high gear.
Yeah, for sure it has. Yeah, I mean that's where and we talked about this a little bit at the very beginning of COVID, of seeing businesses kind of flip a switch of, okay, how do we adjust here, and really exploding on social media, and really using that platform to their advantage.
Right. Pushing that online focus for sure. I mean, way more than it ever has in the past, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. So
we want to speak to that. So we're going to try to give tips, talk about things that are happening currently in that space. So newsworthy things.
And for those of you who don't know or need a refresher, I work doing social media management and consulting, and then you can obviously tell what you do.
Right. So I have done paid marketing, SEO, paid AdWords, things like that. Back in the day, it's been a hot minute, so I've done a little bit here and there on actual social media paid marketing, but mostly at this point in time, I am a content creator. Correct. So I think from speaking from that side of things and then having Liv's take on things, we can talk about, how we're going to make something and then where we're going to put it and how we're going to get eyes on it. So kind of the...
Ooh, that was perfect.
Thank you.
That was good.
That might go in the description.
I know. That was rich. Yeah. So, again, I think it's just, that was always something that we were talking about in the background of just things we were passionate about and bouncing ideas off of each other and how can I help you this way? How can you help me this way with business and social media? And then we were just, I don't know, it just became like a no-brainer. Like, that seems something we're passionate about, something that's growing.
That was the best part. We were on the same page.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I called up Liv and I was like, hey, like, I want to get the podcast going again, but I think we should rebrand. And she was like, I agree.
I was like totally on board. And
I was like, social media. Sense. She goes,
yup.
Actually, yes.
Yup.
So it worked out perfectly.
Yep.
So we're very excited to be back, to be starting something new and fresh, and getting back in front of you guys and being able to provide some insight into this world because it's big and it's broad and there's a lot going on.
It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot. Yeah.
So, and Liv is keeping the tradition alive and drinking a little bit of coffee tonight, so.
Only because...
Yeah, well, okay, so yes, we should go ahead and...
The biggest news,
you guys. Since we have been off air.
Right. Well, okay, first off, I don't even know that we've talked on the podcast that you got married.
That would have been in May, so probably not.
We didn't talk about it. But, I mean, we talked, it
was coming up.
Until then.
Right.
So he's married, you guys.
I'm married.
He's wifed up.
Yep, wifed up. May 7th, so... And it was just us at the table, and we just had an officiant and my kids, and it was awesome. So.
And then we partied later.
And then we did party later.
Which was fun.
Yes, we waited until we could, so.
Yep. But I am drinking a latte while Cole sits over here and drinks a cocktail, and I can't drink a cocktail.
Sorry.
Because I'm pregnant.
Woo! I feel like... Nope,
wow,
just kidding.
That's the wrong one!
Oh, wait, this one? There we go.
Yeah.
We're flexing our new toy.
Brad and I are having a baby.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We're so
everybody's super pumped.
Excited. Everyone was completely shocked, including us. But oh my gosh, we're so stoked. We can't even wait. So April is the due date. So we are looking forward to April. Have a little nugget. So now there's 3 co-hosts on the show.
Yeah, there's actually 3 of us. So make room.
I know. And we're going to have to make room.
We're gonna have to
if you're seeing this on YouTube, move the table out for
we'll just keep pushing it further.
Yep.
Well, we're hoping, though, that as this evolves, we can evolve our whole look. So
yes,
we're going to keep working on that. One day at a time.
Ground 1.
But, before I do my little thing here and go all over the place, do you care if I tell the story about how you guys told us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can tell.
Okay. I'm making sure because, I screwed up once. So
yeah, that's okay.
I told somebody I wasn't supposed to. So we had been trying to plan a dinner, and we had just actually spent some time on vacation in Nashville, Tennessee. And
I was pregnant then. Didn't know it.
Nobody had a clue.
Whoops.
So we were trying to put a dinner together, and we ended up going to the Ale Emporium in Greenwood, and we show up, and Brad and Liv show up. We're sitting there, and they're telling us this story. What was the story exactly?
Yeah, so right after we got home from our little trip together, Brad and I went kayaking together, and we have been looking for kayaks all summer, and they've been sold out because of COVID. So we were showing them our whole excursion of going kayaking.
Yeah, they had their phone, and they're just flipping through. And so I'm sitting there, and they're showing me the phone, and I'm looking through, and they're going. And then all of a sudden, I could see Brad out the corner of my eye, and he's lifting up his cell phone. And people are always on their phones, so I thought a little bit about it, but I was whatever.
Yeah.
And then she flipped one last picture, and it was the whole thing that she had put up for Brad, which was like a board that said
like a little letter board. Yeah.
And I think you might have had a pregnancy test or two there, which you
4.
took forward. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
They were all there.
Like, yeah, oh my gosh. But yeah, so then I was like looking at it, and of course, like Audrey, my wife, like she put it together like in 2 seconds. Like she was like,
so funny.
Congrats.
She
oh my
was
gosh.
like, babe.
Yeah. And
Like,
I'm sitting there, I'm
You're
like,
not noticing.
I'm like, I don't, what am I looking at? I'm like, this doesn't seem like something I should be seeing. Like, and then finally it clicked, and the first thing out of my mouth was a curse word. It's just like, because I was like, wait, no way.
It's just like so shocked.
Yeah. And then we find out that and then I saw that he was filming, and they were doing this whole thing where they were going to put a video together of them telling their friends. And I was like, great. so then she showed me later, she actually bleeped me out.
I did.
on the video.
It's pretty funny. So.
But yeah, so big news in our personal lives for sure.
Yeah. There's
So.
a lot that happened between April and
Yeah.
November.
Right.
Whew.
Right. So, anyways, now that we kind of got everything started for you guys, we decided that we would, since we're starting fresh with this, we'll start with the basics. We'll start from ground zero, step 1, and we're going to probably segment this out into multiple episodes.
Yep.
Which
There's so much to talk about.
yes.
So get some notepads out, get a pen
Yes.
or your phone.
And this is
Take notes.
This is for those people that are trying to get started in social media, and not just to get started to show their families what they're doing, or to just kind of casually use. We're going to help you take the steps to start, what would essentially be an influencer account to a certain degree, so that you might be able to take it to a place where you could make money using social media.
Yeah, I would say influencer, and then also you can take all of this for any small businesses
Yes.
as well. So
That's why she's here.
yep.
So this episode, we're going to go through kind of the first steps, kind of the first part of
The intro.
Yeah, the intro of how you're going to get started into this world. So, Liv, if you want to kick us off, go ahead.
Yeah. So there are some things I wanted to touch on that should be thought and discussed about first before you dive into social media. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So those things are, what is it that you're doing?
Right.
Right. I mean, you have to know that. You have to have a clear, basically mission statement of what you're doing. And you have to know that inside and out.
Yeah, and I think that, that in comparison, right, think about starting your social account is almost like starting a small business. What's your idea? What's your plan? What's your, again, like you said, mission statement? What are you basing this around?
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, you have to essentially know what it is that you're doing.
Yep. That helps.
Yeah. So, for example, if that is an influencer realm, it is, okay, is that fashion, makeup? Is that food? Is that cars?
Right.
And not that you can't kind of do a mixture of it, but you really want to hone in on what it is that you are doing, you're providing.
Right.
Because you don't want your followers to get confused.
Yep. And that was like the same reason why Liv and I took the steps we did with the podcast, because if you look at any of the accounts that have steady growth, that is usually based upon either a singular theme or product or whatever it might be, or and it's based on that, and they post content that goes along in that line.
Yep. And then as for small businesses, same thing. So for your instance, for Cole, you do media. Right. Like if you are posting things of your personal life, or like, I don't know, just side projects that wouldn't be anything that you would offer, it just doesn't give a clear direction as to what it is that you're doing.
Right.
So yeah, first off, I would say that know what it is that you're doing, you're selling, that sort of thing. And then what goes along with that. So that would kind of be like your niche.
Right.
People say niche. Some people say niche.
I say niche.
Okay, so do I. It sounds fancier.
We could be definitely wrong, but yes, it does. It makes you see, you're like, this is my niche.
This is my niche. Oh. So knowing your niche. Ooh, that's good.
I like
knowing
it.
Your niche. Okay.
Knowing your niche, yeah.
That's good.
Trademark.
Get that tattooed.
TM.
And then in addition to that,
It's okay.
pregnancy brain.
You're already blaming it on the mom brain.
Heck yeah. I got to take advantage of that now. Okay.
Yeah, you got to soak that up while you can.
Duh. Okay. So along with knowing what you're doing is knowing who your audience is.
Yep.
So for instance, if you are selling or you're, doing social selling, which would be kind of like what an influencer does, a more high-end luxury product, your audience probably isn't young adults or, college age students who are poor and eating ramen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So identifying who that is key.
Yep. Which we used a technique, and this was something I actually learned when I was in school. There was a technique of making a persona or making a collection of personas, which I think is a really good idea no matter what you're doing, in business especially. Make those personas and, make 2 or 3, and essentially a persona is just making up your target audience.
Correct.
And it's kind of like a mock-up person.
Yep. Yeah, it's literally like you put a face to the name to the audience. So it's like I target middle-aged women who stay at home, who everything about your audience. It's to a T.
If you could have a section, I feel like if you were servicing the Karens.
Yes.
We all know what you mean by that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You can give you an age range, a gender, the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
and you don't have to go in and sculpt your personas. I mean, that's not something that's going to make or break you, but we're just saying, like, if you want to be serious about this, I think that's a really good step to take, or at least do something along those lines. Just
it's
write
a good
down
idea,
what you're
exactly, to write down who it is that you're wanting to sell to, because at the end of the day, we're selling.
Right.
Like it's a business, no matter if you're doing social selling as an influencer or you're a small business, we're selling. So you have to know who your audience is, who your customer base is.
Yep. And I even think that applies, like, let's just say that you're just starting something and you're a bird watcher and you just want to post pictures of birds. I'm just using this example because we can kind of assume what that demographic looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, an older demographic for sure.
Yeah, so you take that into account with your post and who you're marketing to.
With bird watching.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know. It's the first thing that popped in my head.
So funny.
Well, because, me, I always go back to photography because that one is even more of an interesting, medium, especially when you're trying to market yourself, because it has so many subcultures that you can't. It's not just usually photography. Like, a lot of people do that, but a lot of people have either a common theme, and we're talking like color grading wise, or maybe their stamp on a photo is a specific way of making them look,
right?
Or it's a subject.
Yeah. So
that's the only reason why it came through my head.
Yeah.
And I don't know, birds. I don't know.
And birds, sure.
But you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I did. Another example that I had thought of that will be very clear, right? When I say this business, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I already know who that audience is, okay? So, for example, my sister-in-law has her own little business called Bakeroo, and she sells baby or toddler headbands, bows, little like accessories for babies. Okay. You know who her audience is.
Oh, easily, yeah.
It's moms.
Yep.
Like, it's moms. And it's moms with young children.
Yep.
It's not, older males. Or males mostly in general, because they're usually not the ones that are buying
happens
for their kids. It does. It does. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying the majority of your audience is going to be...
Well, yeah, because you can instantly cut off people who don't have kids.
Correct. Yeah, and that there might be slims that down.
Right. There might be a small percentage of people that are going to buy for family members, but still, like, you start to look at that segment.
Correct.
And you're like, where's my largest market segment?
Correct. Where's my largest? And that would be... Yeah, moms who are having kids, who already have kids, who have friends that are having kids. that's your market.
Yep.
So
I like it.
that's just a
Straight
quick
back to baby.
I know. I'm sorry.
Wow. That's okay.
I actually didn't mean that. I didn't mean to do it.
I get it. I'm sure it's every day.
Yeah.
You live with the thing.
I mean, I do. I do.
It lives with you?
Probably the latter.
I was like,
yeah.
Which one?
Yep. And then the other thing too of knowing what it is that you are doing is knowing what it is that you offer and what that looks like in comparison to other people who are in the same market as you,
right.
and what makes you stand out and what makes you different. Because let's be honest, okay, like you're not the only photographer, videographer,
not even close,
in the world. I'm not the only social media manager,
right,
in the world.
You got to find your competitive edge.
Correct. And I always say this: there's enough pie for everyone to have a slice.
Oh yes.
Because there's a corner of the internet that doesn't matter. Like you can pull in those people, doesn't matter.
Right.
So
yeah, because like the company I'm with now, and that's a long story. Maybe we'll get into it in another episode. But so I'm working with Triflix. I came in as a part owner, and so we are even finding that in our smaller culture of people, or in our industry, that even in our little area of Columbus, which is where we're working out of now, there's already 2 or 3 other people who are doing kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably even more than that, to be honest with you. But it's interesting because once you jump into it, then you start to see that there's all these other subcategories to it where people are pinpointing their demographic.
Right.
And you can work off of those other people. So like, it's a smart thing to like figure out all the way through, like, what am I pointing to?
Mm-hmm.
And there's another guy that does specifically commercial work. We don't do as much commercial work.
Mm-hmm.
So you start feeding off of each other, and then that helps us to be able to spread each other out. We can market towards those people. He can market towards his commercials, and then everybody can keep moving forward and service the market.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's why I think that, I know it's a very long way of saying, but coming back to find your niche, find your competitive
mm-hmm.
edge. Where do you work the best? Who do you work with the best? I think all those things help.
And I think the other thing too is knowing the market.
Right.
Who are your competitors? Who are you competing against?
Yeah, and that's a Google search away now.
Oh, for sure. So easy to look up. So those would be, are those 3?
Yeah, that's 3.
Okay.
Right.
Those would be like the first.
I know it's funny. It's like you talk through all of them and you're like, wait a second.
Because they all start to kind of,
yes.
weave together. It
right.
makes sense. Yeah. So knowing it is what you're doing, who your audience is, and what sets you apart from your competition.
Yeah.
So that takes, even just a day, less than that. Just writing out all of those thoughts and why it is, like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Right.
Like, why do you want to do that? And that kind of helps kind of flush out to some of those details of what makes you different. Like, have you seen in the market that there's something that's missing and you want to bring that?
Right.
So that's a good, thing to think about when you're hashing out some of those details. So a lot of those things need to be done before you even start social media.
Yep, and that's funny that you say that, because I was like, the next thing we need to say is like, we're not even
in social media yet.
We haven't even put a password in. We haven't picked what platforms we're using. No. Like, nope.
Nope. So
get yourself figured out first.
Yeah, for sure. Because then when you go to social media, you are then displaying all of those things that we just talked about.
Right.
And so, along with that becomes more of the fun stuff, right? Is, what are your vibes? What's your theme? What's your aesthetic?
Right.
What's the name? That sort of thing. That one's more fun and creative to kind of like,
and hope it's not taken.
And go through. Yeah. And fingers crossed that it's not taken, because Lord have mercy.
Yes. We
yeah.
experienced the same thing with relaunching the podcast.
Yep.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, all of those things, which, I mean, we could dive into some of that more, but
yeah,
I don't think we need to.
No, and we're really just trying to, I think, touch on the basics here and try to get you started, and then down the line we can jump into some more advanced things.
And obviously, if you have more questions on where on earth do we even start
Right.
On branding. That can be a whole other episode.
Oh, yeah. Look at it. We're just writing the content already.
No, it's great.
Easy peasy.
It's writing it for itself, man. It's great. Okay, I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
So
I'm just here to support and put the set together before you get here.
Accurate. So,
which eventually we'll probably do something like that too. I'd love to do an episode, and maybe you guys can speak to this as well. We'd love to do an episode about how to start a podcast as well. Because once you have that branding done and you've made all those initial steps, that's also something that you can do.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a good option. Get yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, once you've kind of decided all of the details and you figured all of that out on the back end, or I guess the front end?
Yeah, it would technically be the front end, but that's okay.
Whatever.
It'll be the back end eventually, but you're at the start
right
of the process.
Right now, so it's the front end.
Woo.
Okay.
Well, I know, right? I'm like, back, front.
Yeah, no, whatever.
Either way.
Anyway, once you've figured all of that out first, okay, then it is deciding, your social media platforms, which, let's be honest, right now, Instagram kind of rules that space.
Right.
And then Facebook kind of tags along with that just because obviously they're owned by the same. So it's really easy to just kind of interlock those accounts. Super easy. And then obviously you kind of gain a little bit more of a diverse market because usually your Karens are on Facebook.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's all of these things you'll see circle back around. And that's kind of what Liv and I are getting at here. Is like, even when you go to talk about platforms, it usually comes back to, what are you trying to accomplish? What's your demographic? Because all of these platforms have different demographics.
Correct.
I mean, if you're looking for a younger crowd, you will reach some of them on Instagram, but that's not your last stop.
No.
By any means.
Why did I say it like that? No.
I would name some of these. I know like Snapchat.
I mean, Twitter is obviously one of them.
Right.
Which...
That's
a
like
whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. That's like a place to get news, it seems like, anymore. Like if you're a politician
I know.
or a CEO.
Where you're trying to find the tea.
Huh?
What?
What do you mean?
You don't know that phrase?
I don't know that.
Like spill the tea?
No. No, I don't.
Wow, okay.
Well, that's why I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Educate this old man, right? Yeah, that's why. That's so funny.
Hey, I can remember when Instagram came out, okay? And Facebook.
Okay, so spilling the tea is like talking about the drama. So you're like, you're kind of just like being gossipy, sipping tea.
Spilling
all right.
the tea.
It's like spill the beans.
And
but like tea is like drama.
And I'm going to make myself sound even worse. Is that like a specific Twitter thing, or can you do that across all platforms?
Across all.
Hey, I'm just making sure for the folks out there listening or watching.
The old people like you.
Just making sure. For us Facebookers, got to make sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, spill the tea.
Spill the tea. That's your phrase for the episode. Go and now you know it's spill the tea. If you didn't before, I didn't. Now you can use it.
Wow, I'm a little shocked that you didn't know that. But anyway, yeah. So on Twitter, you see all of the politicians, the drama.
Yeah, see, I don't mess with Twitter.
Tea.
I don't mess with Twitter. I ain't about it.
I don't as much.
I've tried so many times, and it just feeds me crap. I'm like, I don't want your crap, Twitter.
One thing I will say is that most people that are on Twitter are also on Instagram.
Yeah, true.
And there's just so many ways that you can reach people on Instagram now.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be...
We could do an episode just on Instagram.
I should pause.
Yeah, I was like...
the social media platforms can be a whole other episode. So, which it will be. It probably will be our next episode.
Yeah, most likely.
As like a stepping stone.
Yes.
But yeah, once you figure out, like I said, everything on the front end.
Yes.
Then you decide... social media platforms as well.
Right.
What your branding is going to look like. And honestly, if that's not something that you know how to do, there are people that literally do branding.
Yep.
Just as their job. Like that's their niche. That's their thing.
Right.
And so as a small business, reach out to another small business. one, you may be able to get some sort of collaboration.
Right.
Or two, just supporting another small business is awesome.
It's huge.
Yep.
So yeah, I know we kind of flew through that. I think we're going to make this Liv and I have not put any constraints or ideas. We are going to do this one bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So, expect another episode in a couple weeks. But we're just going to talk and go through these things. And when we wrap up, we wrap up. And if it takes us a little longer, we'll take longer. So we just want to give you guys as much information as we can. And I think this is a good, simple starter to kind of say, hey, think about these things.
Yeah.
This will give you a little time to work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have that time in between these, this episode and the next.
Yep.
Write some of those things out. If
Right.
you have questions, we're on social media.
Yes, we want to encourage you guys to reach out to us on any of the platforms. We will have our personal accounts linked to everything. We'll also have the main account for #social that you can use to get in touch with us. And I'm sure Liv is obviously in charge of all that. So those will be across the board. So there's not going to be a platform you can't reach us on.
Except Twitter.
Yes, because,
we may get there.
Maybe. We'll work on it.
We'll see.
That's up to Liv.
So, yeah, you can find us on social media.
Yep, obviously.
Particularly Instagram is what I meant to say. You can find us on Instagram.
Yes. Ta-da!
Woo. So yeah, our next episode will kind of be more focused on social media platforms, how to use them, the best way to use them, the engagement. It's going to be a meaty episode.
Yes.
I'm sorry I said meaty, but there's going to be a lot of content that you're not going to want to a lot of content that you're not going to want to miss, like with knowing how to use each social media platform to your advantage.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into it and how much you can really get out of it, which is great because it's free.
Yes.
It's free, people.
Some of the best marketing you can get. And it's right at your fingertips. It's easy to use.
Yep.
So we're going to help you out with that. We're going to have the episode, all our episodes, of course, will be across all the platforms as well. Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all the goodies. And we'll also be on YouTube. So if you want to watch us, for those out there who are checking us out there, hi. So you can see #social wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you consume your online media. So we appreciate you listening to the first episode. If you're returning, thank you.
Yeah.
And if you're a first-time listener with us, we will have the back catalog of Life and Lattes episodes. We recorded like 43 episodes or so.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of content there. If you guys want to get to know us a little bit more through some of that experience, we'll have all of that stuff available. Mm-hmm. So look out for that. And thank you for listening. And watch out for the next episode. We're going to kind of split this up into 2 or 3 parts where we're going to talk about how to get started. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. And
we're #out of here.
Love it.
I was waiting to do that.